Hi everyone, this is Irk and this is my channel Get Irked, where I teach you how to invest for the long term. Before we get too far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd smash that like button. As I've said before, I'm just getting started in YouTube, so every like really helps me out. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel so you can get content like this in the future. As always, I'm not a professional investment advisor, so you should take my strategies with a grain of salt to figure out whether or not they work for you. Don't assume that I'm giving you investment advice. Take my videos as educational, informative, and entertainment purposes only at best. In the last couple of days, you've probably noticed that Bitcoin once again tested the $30,000 level, and in this case, $30,000 didn't hold. There was a pretty incredible bounce afterwards, so let's take a look at the chart just to kind of see what kind of movement was happening over the course of this week. I'm going to use the 1 hour chart instead of using the daily chart since it'll give us a little bit more price action. You can see, since this is my chart, this is how I trade Bitcoin, that it's pretty busy. I use a combination of moving averages, the relative strength indicator, and trend lines to determine what I'm doing. But as I said in my How to Trade Bitcoin Safely video, you don't need to use all these trend lines or technical analysis unless it's something that entertains you. You can just buy in stages at key levels and go from there. As you can see, over the weekend, Bitcoin started to lose support and hit trend lines that I've drawn and been using since 2018. I found that, oddly enough, as much as people want to apply specific kinds of indicators to Bitcoin, that it actually respects trend lines more than a lot of the indicators. I've watched a lot of YouTubers who try to use the Ichimoku Cloud, but it doesn't respect that kind of indicator. And the reason is, in my opinion, a very small number of people hold the majority of Bitcoin, so they can make the price move however they want to, and it often ignores a lot of indicators that would be more effective in the stock market where there is regulation and not such a small minority of people who hold the majority of the asset. So that you can see over the past couple of days, this was Monday, we dropped from a high of $33,265, 13.42%, down to a low of $28,800. Now on Gemini, when we crashed like this in May, we did crash through the $30,000 mark. But it's important to remember that each exchange has a different price for Bitcoin because of arbitration. Some exchanges see more activity than others, some had more uptime than others, and so you can see a different move. Generally, people said that Coinbase didn't break the $30,000 mark, and therefore $30,000 was support. This time, $30,000 didn't hold. Now on Monday, it did bounce from the low, and it hit a high today, which is Wednesday, of 21% higher, around $34,850. But does that mean we've hit the bottom? So let's go back and look at what happened the last time Bitcoin crashed from its all-time high. In 2018, it dropped from around $20,000, and it set support on February 6th at $5,931. It actually held that support all the way up until June of that year, whereas you can see it lost the support here, breaking down to $5,768. At the time, a lot of bulls, including myself, didn't think of this as very significant, and then Bitcoin bounced. Eventually, however, because that key support level didn't hold, we didn't have the support we thought we did. So even though Bitcoin did bounce back up, it eventually dropped through. And when it did, it dropped almost 50% from that support line, dropping a total of 45.79% from what we thought was support from the break. So what happens if Bitcoin does the same thing now? Now we're back in 2021. Here's the break that happened on June 22nd. And if we dropped 45% from there, we would see a price target of $15,840.66. Now I know there are a lot of analysts out there that say $20,000 is going to hold. And that's going to be our support because it was our previous all-time high. But here's the thing. Since 2018, we've seen the advent of futures. There's a lot more margin. There's a lot more retail in the space. And I think if it cracks $20,000, the panic that we'll see will push us lower. I'm a bull in the space. What I always tell anyone is if you hodl, you're a bull. It doesn't matter if you're bearish short term or not. You don't need to do the bullish thesis. No one needs to care about where they're going to buy their Lambo when Bitcoin goes up to $1 million. Even though I'm a bull and I'm a hodler, I'm always worried about how far down could we go. Not only do I have a trading strategy in place that accounts for the possibility that we could get down to $15,000, I have a trading plan in place that accounts for the possibility of us breaking the 3130 low from 2018. Now, do I think that's realistically possible? No, but I don't want to just assume there's going to be support there. My goal for the long term is to always be able to buy at a lower price. I would much rather have cash on the sidelines that never went to work and have my position go higher than be all in at $6,000 and have Bitcoin drop by half. Why do I use that specific number? Because that's exactly where I was in 2018. I was all in because everybody assumed $6,000 was going to hold, and then it dropped by half, which slaughtered everyone, including me. And that's how I developed the system I have now. If you want to know more, check out my video on how to trade Bitcoin safely. Please like and subscribe, watch my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.